is Michael here, Knowledge Source, and I'd like to welcome you to today's ILRE Real Estate Student Success Story. So thank you so much for joining me today. It's spot on midday, and let's get straight on into it. So I hope you have had a fantastic break over the new year, the Christmas, New Year period of time. I hope you caught up with all your friends and family, and you're ready to get this this year kicked off and going. Dymphna did a fantastic session on Wednesday, the other evening, to get going as well. And today we're starting off the ILRE Real Estate success stories. And for those of you who know, every week try to find somebody that's going to give you a little bit of insight, a little bit of inspiration about what they've been doing within the ILRE real estate community, to kind of share with you and say, you know what, if it can inspire you to get out there and do something similar to yourself, or even just become a bit more supportive in the community, you know, then it's a great thing. So today is another very interesting story. So I'm just gonna put a few little things on the Zoom here. Click on those little things, which is all good to go. And thanks everyone for joining us too. I can see a couple of faces. If you do want to share your videos and also type in to let us know what's going on, as well as on Facebook, by all means do that. Good to see you, Tabitha, always there. Excellent. And Mark, good man. Excellent. So today we have a really, this is a really heartfelt story. This is a story with John, and I know that many of you may have already seen a bit of interaction, but those of you may not as well. And it really is about coming into the community with some major kind of losses and needing to rebuild, not only from an investment side of things, but also from a life side of things. So without further ado, let's introduce John. You're sitting there, John. You're ready to go. How are you doing? Are you good to go?
Yeah, awesome, Michael. Awesome. And thanks for the invitation and the opportunity. And hopefully, you know, if one person can get one thing out of this, it's been a success. So yeah, more than happy to open up.
Mate, I love the attitude, man. Love the attitude. So, so thank you so much. So look, one of the first things we always like to find out is, where were you coming from before you joined the community? Because everyone joins for different reasons. Everyone's coming from a different scenario, but you were in a bit of a spot. You know, there's a couple of things that happened. Did you want to just share a little bit about, you know, what it was like before you joined?
Yeah, absolutely, Michael. Look, for those that have a look, I'm a young 57. I like to say, which tongue in cheek there. But I was a former real estate agent back in the mid 80s to sort of mid 90s. And I'll pump my tyres up and say I was a fairly successful real estate agent. I worked for a large franchise group within Melbourne, and in 1988, probably before a lot of you were even born, in the number one office in the state, I was the number one salesperson as far as transactions and income went. So I was fairly good at what I did, and I thought I knew a lot about real estate. I got out of real estate in 1996. I had a young family at the time. You know, I'd done it for 10 years. I'd applied to have my real estate license and open my own business, which I didn't go ahead with because I was burnt out at the ripe old age of 31. So I was burnt out and wanted to spend more time with my kids. Got into, I suppose, the corporate life. Took a job with a company car and a 9-to-5 job, but I always had a passion for real estate, and I was always out looking and open for inspections. I was a fee auctioneer for other real estate companies who didn't have auctioneers, so I'd go out on weekends or even during the week and get paid to do auctions on their behalf. Did promotional auctions for, you know, Triple M and all that sort of thing. I loved being out there and doing things. But, you know, fast forward 10 years, sort of the mid 2000s, my life took a bit of a turn. I separated from my then wife in 2006. Had 2 kids, you know, one had just finished high school and one was just starting high school. So, you know, went through what a lot of people go through, Michael, with separations, and, you know, had to deal with the financial separation as well as the emotional separation, and walked away from what was a fairly comfortable lifestyle. You know, we had back then we had a 7+ figure house. You know, we had money in the bank. We used to travel overseas. And I walked away comfortable that I needed to be comfortable in myself, but I needed to rebuild myself financially. So, you know, I had a few hurdles along the way that I had to get through. So, and And sort of to add to that, in 2013, so my son had just finished year 12, and he was a young fella. He'd had a lot of hassles through his life. He'd had Tourette's syndrome, ADD, ADHD. He ballooned out with the drugs he was on to 140 kilos, but he got through his VCE and got an ATAR score in the mid-90s or low 90s, which was exceptional. Was getting his life back on track. Had lost a lot of weight, had travelled overseas with the school that he was with. But then he was diagnosed with cancer in February 2013. So that turned our world upside down. I was fortunate that the company that I was working for allowed me to keep working. I was caring for my son 4 days a week, Monday to Friday, or Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, out of my old matrimonial home. My ex-wife was off at work as well. So I was able to work from the old home, caring for him, running him around for his appointments, running him back and forward to uni when he wasn't sick, 4 days a week. And 1 day a week I was in the office just doing what I had to do. So fortunately, I had an employer that was willing to let me do that for a period of time. My son sadly passed away in September 2016. So I had sort of, 3.5 years working from home, caring for him, we all put our lives on hold, obviously, for those reasons. And yeah, I needed to do something. I wasn't diagnosed, but I was probably depressed. There was a financial toll on all of us for what we'd been through as well. I'd repartnered in that time as well, so I wanted to get my life back on track again. So yeah, so that's sort of my background before I got into the community, Michael. It's I'd done a lot, seen a lot, but also had a lot that a lot of hurdles that sort of knocked me down a bit. And I was at a pretty low point, to be honest.
Mm-hmm. John, mate, my heart goes out to you. When you're talking about that, like I can feel the emotion, and I cannot understand what it would be like. But man, I just tough, But you came through.
Yep.
You came through, yeah.
Yep.
So what happened? Obviously, you joined the community, and there's a little bit of a kind of an unusual story when you did. Did you want to kind of move into that?
Yeah, no, it was funny. I'd always had a passion for real estate, and I'm helping people make money, and probably helped a lot of people get wealthy through real estate, but didn't really understand it as well. And I, sitting on Facebook in a nice luxury resort in Khao Lak in Thailand, sitting around a pool having a few cocktails, and one of the I Love Real Estate or Dymphna things popped up on Facebook, and I'd seen it before, and I'd scroll through and delete, just kept scrolling. I'd sitting there thinking I've got to get my life back on track, or our life back on track with my new partner. And that was in May 2019. So I enrolled to go to the free one-day seminar, which was at the Sofitel in Melbourne. We got back from Thailand, and 2 weeks later we went into that seminar. And there and then, at the end of that, hearing Dymphna speak that day, we signed up on the spot for the ultimate program there and then. So I just thought, this is what I need to get me to where I want to be, or where we want to be. So yeah, so we did that, and then in October 2019 there was the 3-day boot camp in Melbourne, and myself and my partner went to that. And I'm not frightened to admit this, I thought I knew a lot about real estate. I knew nothing about real estate. I was good at listing real estate. I was good at selling real estate. I had no idea about manufacturing growth, just the different strategies out there, the structures you can set yourself up, the asset protection, using your superannuation fund for setting yourself up. I just didn't know any of that, and I sort of walked out of there thinking, geez, I thought I was good, but I know nothing. So to me, it was those 3 days were, for want of a better word, they were life-changing for me, because it really opened my eyes as to what's possible out there.
But that's it's actually quite refreshing to hear that from someone like you, who's been in the industry, been in the real estate industry. Obviously you've been around it for so many years, and then to realize that Dymphna kind of opens you the door to a whole different aspect, which is the actual, the professional real estate investing side of things. So yeah, wow. Yeah. So pretty much, and Dymphna's ads, they're everywhere, aren't they? You cannot escape them. You cannot escape them. They just go everywhere. And we've had some people come along and say, I don't even know how I did it, but I started receiving these emails from Dymphna or John, and I just kept on getting these emails, and eventually took notice of them. So they do work. Yeah.
Yep. The power of social media.
Absolutely. Yeah. So now how did things change for you? Like, did you obviously you've got to get into a bit of a strategy, and you've also got to kind of reach out. You started to interact with the community and the coaches. What happened then?
I did. So we did the 3-day ultimate course in October and decided, right, we're serious about this. We're going to go ahead. So we took a leap of faith and we jumped on board with Pacific Law and the IPS, Invest Pacific Structures, and I think it was by the 23rd of December, we had a company structure set up because we wanted to do what we knew we could do through our learnings through the community. So, during the boot camp, and for those that have been to a boot camp live, it's awesome. If you've seen it online, same thing, it's awesome. But it's information overload. I went back to a second boot camp in Melbourne at the start of 2020 just to refresh myself because I needed to, because there is so much to take in. But look, we set our structures up. I also did the Fast Flip Formula boot camp as well, which was in December 2019 with Az&M, who are part of this community, as a lot of people would know. And we sort of decided that after that our strategy was we just wanted to get into a deal and do a renovation and make 20 grand, 30 grand, if we're lucky, 100 grand, 200 grand, because we were coming off, I suppose, a low equity point from having gone through a separation, and my partner obviously had gone through a separation as well. We started looking at regional Victoria to try and find just something, a low entry point to get into. We couldn't afford to get into Melbourne at the time. So we were looking in regional Victoria. I drove all over Victoria. One of the rules that Dymphna would always say is try to be within 2 hours of where you are, because you don't want to spend all your time in the car. So, drew the circle around where I needed to go and what I did. Haunted Ballarat for, all of December, January, February. Found a property that I thought, right, this is the property. It was an old weatherboard. It was a nice wide block, had 2 driveways, had a big backyard. My partner kept saying to me, John, we just need to get in and do a renovation and make a little bit of money to get going. But I'm like, I had bigger plans. I wanted to be a millionaire in no time and do subdivision and all that sort of stuff. So anyway, one of the biggest issues I had as well was I used to procrastinate a lot. And we went back and looked at this house on 3 separate open for inspections, had the contract, had all that, had finance in place, didn't make an offer, and then saw it come up on realestate.com as being under offer and then sold. And I can tell you, I spent a week kicking myself. I lay in bed at night just thinking what could have been. And that really put the fire in my belly to, stop making excuses, stop procrastinating. We had the structure set up, we had the finance set up. I didn't act and I missed a good deal. And that property's since been renovated and sold again in just over 2 years. And there was about $160,000 uplift for the owner. So, take out the 20 or 30 he spent on the renovation. There's 100 grand you're sort of sitting there looking at, and okay, you might have to pay a bit of tax, but I sat there just thinking what could have been, and that could have been my first deal, but we let it go. So
it's such a good point. It's such a good point. I'm glad you mentioned that as well. Is just that you kind of doubt yourself, or you're not confident, whatever it is, and then yes, I can understand that totally. And then once you miss out and you see what's occurred, that's it. It gets you fired up to get back in there, hey?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Just wanted to clarify. Did you want to mention a little bit about? Were you leaning on the coaches, the ultimate coaches as well? Can you? Because I think you mentioned a little bit about that. Can you let us know how they've helped you and what you've done to lean on them? Because I tell you, they do an amazing job, and we don't kind of mention those guys too much.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'll mention that, and the coaches are an awesome tool, and if you're not using them, use them, because they're there for that ability. We changed our target area where we were looking. My partner's dad got sick with cancer between Christmas and New Year 2020. So we started, he was from regional Victoria. We started spending a bit of time in his country town, which ended up being the country town we ended up buying in, but it was never on our radar. But Michael May was just a wealth of knowledge to me as I was going through things. You know, I submitted 3 offers on three properties down there and eventually got the 3rd property. It was a very competitive market, but Michael May was absolutely fantastic I bounced the strategy off him, what I was looking at. I bounced some numbers off him. He gave me some advice and some recommendations. And, you know, the fact that you could pick up the phone and ring him or schedule an appointment or a call for when he was free was fantastic. And I think that's one of the things we take for granted. You know, there's so many good people in this community and so many good coaches within it. Forgetting platinum and as well, you know, even just in the ultimate program, the advice you can get from the people that have been there and done that is priceless.
Yeah, totally. And Tabitha, thanks for putting in. is amazing. Yes, For those who don't know, Michael May, and also Michael and Sarah Franks as well. They also do a fantastic job, but obviously you're dealing with Michael May. So yeah. And for those of you who don't know as well, within the community, you can jump on the members' website and you can book in an appointment. And I believe it's about 20 minutes, and they will happily go through whatever you need to clarify in regards to, you know, maybe it's a deal coming up, understanding your strategy. Whatever it is, they're there to help you. So use them because they're you know, you're enrolled in the program. So yeah, good to hear.
And just expanding on that in the community, you know, obviously, you know, Dymphna's worked closely with Pacific Law and IPS over the time, and Wisdom Finance. You know, we set up our first structure. We took on board what Dymphna said, and we used the guys at IPS, and Derek was fantastic in setting up our structure. Tony Height from Wisdom financed our first acquisition, or, you know, helped us source that acquisition, which was great. And we've just gone through a refinance we've got our fingers in quite a few pies at the moment. So we've just gone through a complete refinance of all of our current PPR, my partner's former PPR, and some investment or some other property we have. And we've used Tony Height from that as well. So, you know, they're as much a part of the community and the coaching, the learning as well, and the advice that you get off them, because they know what the program's about. They know what Dymphna teaches. They know what the students are looking to achieve. So just the fact that you've got those resources there at your fingertips, I think, is a great thing as well.
Absolutely. Yeah, there's so much about the community, hey?
Absolutely.
Awesome. So tell us about, because you got straight into, or after obviously you missed out from Ballarat, and I should mention as well, man, you've had a tough run as well with you know, your partner's kind of, you know, father passing as well. It's like, oh, you know, a tough one. So look, you did get yourself into a deal. Do you want to tell us about that?
Yeah, so as I said, I touched on with my partner's father getting sick. We'd never looked at his little community town. We'd been going down there caring for him. He ended up moving up to Melbourne with us in April 2020, just so that we could care for him. He sadly passed in August 2020, but, you know, in that time we got to know his hometown. And I went down there, and the market was booming. So 2020, it was just, you know, COVID had just sort of hit as well. The first property I looked at, it was a massive weatherboard on about 1/3 of an acre. Could have got easily 2 behind the house. The house was at the front, was a great renovation. They were asking $271,000 for it, which was a bit funny. Went down to the first open inspection. The place was just swarming with people. On Monday, the agent rang me and said, "What do you want to do? We've got offers coming in." He said, "We've had offers at full price." And I said, "Well, the owner should take it." He said, "We've got that much interest. We're going to open it again the next Saturday. And then we'll call for offers on the Monday, and we'll submit whatever offers they have." So in between that time, madly rushed around, got my finance organised through Wisdom. I made an offer of $280,000. They were asking $271,000, and I got smashed out of the ballpark and sold for $320,000. So I thought, wow, the market's really moving, which gave me great confidence down there in that little town. Second deal we looked at was around about the Anzac Day weekend. Again, another solid old weatherboard on a corner block. Asking $250,000 for that. I offered $249,000, got beaten. Someone who was aware of this community, but had done a similar program, bought it and flipped it. I ended up becoming fairly close with them. Just knocked on the door when they were doing the renovation and got fairly close to them. But they bought it just to flip, and they paid $250 for it and sold it for $410.
Wow.
4 months after they'd settled on it. So again, it gave me great confidence that there is money to be made with the right strategy. Third property came up in that town. It must be something about corner blocks. It was a little 2-bedroom weatherboard on a 740 square metre corner block. They were asking $225. I went down to the first open inspection, same thing, swarming with people, and I thought, I'm not going to miss this. So I offered $230, and we were successful. So that got us going. The strategy was to do a flip on the front and do a subdivision and build a new unit at the back, which the way the numbers were stacking up, it would have been cash flow positive, or if we sold it, we could have pulled out a big chunk as well. So
I've got to say, John, I love how you're learning each step of the way. You know, you go one, you miss one out, but you're kind of going, that's giving you confidence about the market. And then, of course, you know, and then if you miss out again, and what are you doing? You're actually going and knocking on it and knocking on the door and actually finding out what the guys are doing. So yeah, great.
Yeah.
So
I was just going to say, and one of the key things that I learned through getting this deal and being successful was the property needed re-stumping. I went down, only went down to the first open inspection, and a couple of the corners were sagging a bit. You could see that, and I thought, oh yeah, 2 of the corners need propping up in the house. I didn't look under it. I just thought, yep, that'll be fine. You know, maybe $5,000 in my budget to prop up those 2 corners. We bought the property in July 2020 in the middle of COVID. We settled in early September, so it was a very quick settlement. But that was when Melbourne went into the restrictions, and you couldn't leave Melbourne. You couldn't go further than 5 k's from your home. So we ended up not getting down there full time until sort of November. But in starting the renovation, we got some people in to look at the re-stumping, and the whole house needed re-stumping. So all of a sudden, my due diligence of, you know, $5, $6, $7,000 to re-stump a couple of corners turned into quotes of $15,000, $20,000, $30,000, $35,000. So, you know, for those out there that are going through something, make sure you do your due diligence. This is still going to be a profitable deal because of the way the market's gone. We got in at the right time, and I think I got the last genuine corner block bargain in this town. But it just goes to show that, you know, again, I thought I knew what I was looking at by, you know, looking at a couple of corners. I didn't look under the house, and when the stumper was down there, it had been re-stumped obviously many years ago. The house was about 60 years old, but it had concrete stumps under there. But there was like a concrete cancer going through it. Some of the stumps were just basically the metal wire through the middle of it. So it turned out there was a massive drainage problem. So, you know, it's as much as I was happy with the purchase price, you know, the numbers ended up sort of piling up a little bit more. So due diligence is your best friend.
Absolutely, absolutely. And so how does that look now? Because you're looking at now possible subdivision, is that right? And then reno, yeah?
Yeah,
and if
no, go on.
I was just going to say, yeah. So where are you at with that now?
Okay, so fast forward a bit. It's been well over 12 months now. So, you know, with COVID hitting us, my work, I hate to say it, my job was fairly demanding as well. So, you know, I didn't want to do things remotely and have other people do things. I wanted to be sort of hands-on. We were fortunate that we were, you know, we bought in at a low entry price. It was costing us under $200 a week to hold, which we were able to service, but it was going up at a rate of, you know, over $1,000 a week, just the way the market was going. So I didn't have a lot of pressure on me to speed things up. But we've gutted the house. We've applied for the subdivision. The subdivision has been approved, subject to meeting, you know, some water board conditions and drainage and, you know, your power connections. So I've got all that done. But, you know, again, in my learnings and just looking at different strategies now, I've got a different strategy in mind for this property, which I'm currently sourcing some finance for. If I can get that finance organised for the strategy that I want to apply to the property now, I will go ahead with that. If I can't, I'll go back to having the subdivision and renovating, you know, completing the renovation on the front one and flipping that over as well.
Isn't it awesome to have multiple different strategies that you can kind of like, you can make a selection to? You know, you can go, you know what, I can go in this way, that way, and you've got choices there.
And that's the thing that really keeps me upbeat about this community is there are so many strategies out there that you can do, you know, whether it's rooming house, Airbnb, subdivisions. There's just so much you can do from a residential perspective. You can knock down and rebuild. There's the town that I'm in. There's little estates popping up all on the outskirts. This one's right in the heart of town. I could probably put a nice house on it and get a good return out of it. There's just so many just opportunities which I just wouldn't have even thought about when I was supposedly a good real estate agent. So, and that's what I love about the community is the availability of resources to learn about what you want to do.
Absolutely. And now, how is it gone? Because the market's been moving. How is it situated now? Because those, like, obviously the subdivision hasn't gone through as yet and so forth. So it's still in the process.
Yep.
But the market's moved, hasn't it?
Absolutely. So we settled on this in 10th of September 2020. We settled on this. We paid $230,000 for it. I could probably put it on the market now at $350 and probably get it, even with a 3/4 gutted 2-bedroom weatherboard on it, because it's a corner block and it's sort of in the heart of the town. I said it's made well over $1,000, probably close to $2,000 a week for us, and costing us $200 a week. So again, that should have driven me to move and do the next deal, but it hasn't stressed me because of the way the market's been. It might have been a different story if the market was going backwards, but we've just been fortunate, and the timing was great, Michael, for us.
Yeah, and for those of you who've been listening into Dymphna recently as well, she's talking about how the market is moving, and she's been kind of giving us more than enough warning about what's been going on, and you've just made the decision at the right time, and the strategies haven't even come to completion, and yet you're in over 120 odd grand, and it's just the strategies are not even to full completion. So awesome, man, awesome.
As I said, I settled in September 2020, and I paid $230 for it. There is nothing in this town available now on the market under $350. It's just that's how much the market's gone. So that's been a bonus. It's the timing's been great.
Yeah. Now, Tabitha mentioned bad pest and building inspection reports have killed my last 2 deals. This makes me feel a whole lot better. LOL.
Yeah, Tabitha, just on that, the property that I purchased was an old 2-bedroom. It was an ex-housing commission house on the corner, and it had cladding on the top. It had 2 bedrooms, just a horrible floor plan. It had different carpets in every room. It had different wallpaper in every room. It was horsehair plaster. We haven't touched the 2 bedrooms. We've left those, but we gutted everything else in the house whilst we were working on our strategy to subdivide. And we were just going to open it up into one big kitchen living area, and had a large laundry. We were going to crimp a bit of that to extend the bathroom. It had the old pink bath in there. It was psychedelic when you walked into it. So I didn't bother with a building or pest inspection, because I've gone, it's a 60-year-old house. Yeah, it needs a bit of restumping. I'll be fine. But again, I'll be doing my due diligence on the next ones we buy if that's our strategy to renovate, just to make sure.
Excellent. Yeah, good. Oh, pink baths. No, I don't get that picture out of my head. Pink baths. Now you've got a few others there as well, haven't you? You want to just tell us about some of the other things that you've got going?
Yeah, we have. So we've got my partner's former PPR, which was her first ever home. She built it with her ex-husband as well. She's retained that. That's rented out at the moment. It's cash flow positive. It's in Melbourne. It's in a great location. Backs onto a shopping centre and a train line. It's cash flow positive. So we're sitting there just with that at the moment, deciding, do we subdivide that or do we put a different strategy onto that as well? At the moment, we're consolidating with what we're doing in regional Victoria. With my father-in-law passing away, we've got a share in his former house in the town as well, and we've also just recently, her brother was in a bit of financial stress, so we've helped him refinancing, and we've taken a bit of equity in his property as well, which is again another old weatherboard on a corner block in a country town. Not the same country town, but we just seem to be lucky with that sort of thing. So it's the sort of town where we could put a couple of townhouses on it and rent it out over the summer period for $1,000, $1,500 a week, and keep or Airbnb it he can keep one, we can keep one. So we're working through the strategies on that as well. So we've got including our current PPR, we've got our fingers in 5 pies at the moment.
Sounds like you've got your strategies pretty well sorted out to almost a cookie cutter approach there, John.
Trying to, Michael. Trying to. Just got to, just got to turn the first one over, and then we'll be going. But yeah, look, we know where we want to go.
Awesome. Now, look, the one thing I wanted to just find out from you is there something that you've run into that's a bit of a problem that you needed to overcome? Because it's one of the things. It's we hear about some of the things that have done well, but what is it? Something that you've you've shared quite a bit. So yeah, have you got something there?
Yeah, look, probably the biggest thing was I hate losing, so the fear of failure was a big thing for me, and just the procrastination. That was the biggest thing throughout my life that has probably held me back to where I think I deserve to be and should be. So, but one of the things I've found in the community, Michael, is that you're surrounded by like-minded people. You can talk to the coaches, you can talk to other people in the community. I organised, pre sort of COVID and even in between COVID, I organised 3 catch-up meetings in sort of CBD and northwest of Melbourne, just where the community could get together and exchange ideas and meet and greet. And out of that, I've formed some really good friendships. There's some joint venture partners in there. Some of the people that have been at those deals are now doing or currently doing multi-million-dollar deals. They're active on the Facebook page. But I've got a connection with them now, which I didn't have. So I'd encourage anyone to get involved with the community, whether it's online, whether it's, there's plenty of online catch-up meetings as well. I prefer the face-to-face meetings where you can sit down and have a meal and a beer or whatever suits, or a coffee. COVID's been a bit hard from that perspective of recent times, but, I'd encourage everyone just to reach out and expand your community, because everyone's in there for the same reason, and you'll be absolutely amazed at what you will learn from these people, but also the opportunities that will open for joint venture opportunities. There's cash partners out there, there's doing partners out there. All the things Dymphna talks about is out there. So, don't hold yourself back. If you've got a fear of meeting up with people or talking to people, try and get through that, because it'll be the best thing you ever do.
Mate, good to hear. Can you just let us know, why did you decide to create a bit of a group and connection point? Because it would be I think it'd be great for other students to do that and connect. But I want to find out what was your motivation to do that?
I don't know whether you've already picked up on it yet, but I don't mind talking a bit.
Yeah, I picked up on that a little bit, John.
and I love being around people that are successful and like-minded. I like to think, despite the fact that I've just said that I procrastinate a lot, my role in my work is I manage a team, and my job is to keep my team upbeat and always chasing and always doing what they've got to do to be successful. So whilst I was talking the talk, I probably wasn't walking the walk in my personal life. So joining this community, went to the first Ultimate Boot Camp with, I think, probably 300 or 400 people in the room at the Sofitel, and they get you up and shake hands and talk to people you've never met before, introduce yourself. I didn't have a problem doing that. My partner hated doing that sort of thing. That's just not her. But to me, getting out there and meeting more people is the best way to open yourself up, but also just open up the opportunities that you've got. So, yeah, I spoke with, became fairly close friends with a lady that lived near us when we did the Fast Flip community, and we said we should organise a dinner. Mm-hmm. So the 4 of us, her and her husband and ourselves, we caught up at a pub and had dinner, and we said, what, we should all organise a big meetup out this way. So we did. The first one, I think we had about 25 people come to it, which was great. No one knew anyone, but people turned up, and we had people, and this was up in Tullamarine, up in northern Melbourne. We had people come from Frankston, from Geelong, and from across Metro Melbourne, which was great. COVID hit. I organised a second one at the same venue, and I think we had about 21 or 22 people turned up. A couple of people came back, some new people. and then I organised one of the community members owned a Thai restaurant in the city, but he was also doing, again, at the time of COVID, he posted a question on there about, he had a lease on his shop in the city, and he posed a commercial question, because obviously with the rent restrictions and everything that was happening. And just from that, I sent him a message. Said, Thai's, I've been to Thailand a lot. Thai's my favourite food. He said he was Thai, and he said he had a Thai restaurant in the city. So I said, how about we organise a meetup for you, which will help you through COVID being tough, but also great to meet people. So we organised a meeting. It was called Thai Tide in Burke Street in Melbourne. Still open, but not to the public at the moment because he's struggling with staff. But we had 24 or 25 people come there, had some platinum students come along. And again, it was just, just a bit of paper. Everyone puts their name, phone number, emails out. I circulate that to everyone afterwards. And people just keep in touch from that. So again, just a great networking opportunity.
John, I remember that because I saw that on the thing. It's, I mean, like, this is the thing that I really love about the community, is the fact of, everyone's supporting each other in what they're trying to do, and also where they're at. So it's such a beautiful thing to do, Yeah, because I mean, like, during COVID, I mean, especially if you had a restaurant far out, it's tough. It's tough.
Yeah, so, but even with that, Michael, like, we were talking about the property that we'd purchased, but we didn't give away the town we were talking about. But then one of the ladies that was at the dinner, she said, she'd just purchased property in regional Victoria, and she mentioned the town that she bought it in, and we said, well, that's the town that we're in. So now we talk a lot. She's purchased the property there, which she's going to subdivide as well. So we talk about a lot, which town planners we're using, good tradies and all that sort of thing. So again, just through that meeting, we've formed that connection, and we're trying to help each other out on our respective developments.
How cool. You help out a student who's got a restaurant, and you help out yourself, and you help out other students in doing investments. Awesome. Yep. Now, Jess has just mentioned, can't wait to do the real live events, with a bit of a thumbs up there, Jess. Absolutely. Yeah. Hanging to catch up with real people rather than just in these screens. Yeah, are you really real out there?
Yeah, and you will get to see Michael at the back of the room weaving his magic and coordinating everything.
It's good fun. Yeah, look, it's a very different energy when you're in that space, and hanging out to get those back and going again. So yeah. Hey John, do you have a bit of an idea in regards to how you approach a joint venture? Like, I'm not too sure if you haven't done any joint ventures at the moment? No. No,
I haven't, Michael. I know plenty of people I could lean on that are cashed up, which is good, but at this stage I haven't gone down that path at this stage. But it's certainly one of the paths that I want to go down, because I want to, my partner and I are 57, and we've got a fairly ambitious goal. Sorry, I'm 57, she's 56. She turns 57 on Valentine's Day. How dare her?
Cool. Yeah.
Cost me a double whammy on Valentine's Day, but anyway. But we've got a fairly ambitious goal coming off a fairly low base, as I said, because we've had to rebuild. But we want to be retired by the time we're 60. We want to have enough equity behind us and some cash flow that we can do that. So joint ventures are absolutely on the radar.
Fantastic. Awesome. Now, I think that's pretty much the most of what I wanted to kind of talk about with what you're doing deal-wise. Would you have a bit of an idea of where you've kind of improved from a deal or an equity point of view? Because you've obviously got it looks like it's about 120 uplift in equity purely just from your choice of and getting in at that point in time. Is that correct? Is that about the?
Yeah, look, absolutely. And look, obviously we've benefited from just the way the market's gone even before we've completed this strategy. But there's a much bigger upside out of this project if and when we complete it one way or another. There's a great uplift. We fell into the other property, with the father-in-law passing away. We've got a 50% equity in that, but so I don't sort of count that one. And the other one where we've helped out the brother again, that was we've borrowed some extra money to help him out, but taken some equity in his property. But again, there's opportunities down there. But I suppose the time that we joined the community was a good time because the market was flourishing. And look, we're in a better position than what we were in 2019 before joining, for two reasons. One, we're now in the property market properly as as investors, but also just we've taken, we've been able to go along with the ride with the, just the growth that's been happening in the industry.
So that's it from the investing side of things. How have you kind of changed from a life side of things? Obviously, one of the things here is, you're obviously getting into rebuilding your investments, but also mentioned about rebuilding your life. Do you want to share a little bit about how that's kind of occurred within the?
Yeah. Look, obviously with everything I went through, I had a very low point. Going through the separation, losing my son. That was, no one wants to have to go through that, but that's the reality of life. Having losing the father-in-law in amongst all of that as well. But I've got a new lease on life, Michael. I was heavily involved with the combat sports industry. I used to do a lot of commentary for fight shows around the country. We had our own show on Foxtel, did a couple of shows on Fox Sports as well. So a lot of my weekends were, sort of pre-2000 and probably 2015, I stepped away when my son was getting really sick. I stepped away from that. But prior to that, I'd be interstate commentating shows or, doing shows in Melbourne or doing post-recording. So I was consumed with that life. Like I had my day job, and then I had a life outside of that. But I stepped away from that community. I found the real estate community. I've now totally stepped away from the combat sports industry. I got a call the other day to commentate a show on the 25th of March, and I declined, even though it was a good payday. I've now immersed myself in the I Love Real Estate community and what we want to achieve out of it. Because I said I want to be sitting back in 3 years' time with my feet up on a lounge chair in Thailand or Cambodia and having the freedom that this opportunity can give people, because there's plenty of people out there that are a lot younger than me that have got in and are successful, and it's now their full-time job, for want of a better word. But they say you never work a day in your life if you love what you're doing, and I love what I'm doing here, and I just want to get to that stage where I can decide what I want to do each day.
Mm-hmm. And how confident are you that you're on the way?
Absolutely confident that I'm heading in the right direction. I probably need to supercharge that a little bit more. I'm contemplating jumping into, as much as the Ultimate coaches have been fantastic, I'm contemplating enrolling into the Platinum course, because I think I need that 12 months of supercharge to get me going. I know what I want to do. I drive past deals all the time. I go, there's a deal there, there's a deal there. Should I be branching out into the JVs? I probably don't know enough about the JVs to do that, but I can see deals everywhere I go now, because I suppose because of my knowledge of real estate, but also it's always been a passion. Even when I wasn't in real estate, I understood what I was looking at. So I think I think that's what I need to do now to get ahead. As I said, we've got our finger in 5 properties. We're getting some good equity behind us. When I finish this project, whichever strategy I end up with, there will be a chunk that will come out of it, or it'll be cash flow positive. So I just need to supercharge that and get that finished, and then I just want to do another deal and another deal and another deal, and just keep going.
It sounds like you've got a fire in you now, John.
I have, Michael. I have. I am passionate about it. I talk about it a lot. One of my staff is enrolled in the Ultimate course as well, because he was a young fella, and just through talking at work you do, and I told him what I was doing, and he got a little bit more enthused about it. And he went to one of Dymphna's one dayers, and then he signed up to Ultimate as well. So I'm passionate about it, and I'll chew anyone's ear off if they want to talk real estate.
Good on you. It's infectious. In a good way.
Absolutely.
Good. So a little bit more, is there anything else you want to mention about how your life is different now to when you started?
I think it's just the positive mindset that I'm creating for myself and my partner and those around us, but also the community. I first, rightly or wrongly, first thing I do in the morning, I jump on Facebook and have a scroll through and look at other people's success. I love looking at what other people do. Fung in Adelaide posted something this morning, and showing the renovation she's doing over there. She's absolutely killing it over there. I just like to follow other people's success, because instead of being stuck in a rut and just not getting out and doing things, I try to turn the TV off and not listen to all the gloom and the doom, and I try to focus on the positive aspects of life. I've got quite a few of Dymphna's books, which I'm just starting to get my head into, which I hadn't for quite a while. I just want to surround myself with good, like-minded people, and to put it bluntly, cut the crap out of what's been going on the last couple of years. It came on the back of me having my own personal demons that I had to deal with. COVID hasn't been easy. I've had to keep my staff upbeat about it as well. I just want to be around positive people that are having a positive impact on everything they touch.
Right, awesome, man. So nice to hear. So nice to hear. So you mentioned a little bit about the staff member, that obviously kind of joined as well. Is there anything else that you want to tell us about what you tell others about the ILRE Real Estate program in the community?
Yeah, look, I think it's just about the opportunity that's out there. Whether you've got no money, whether you're a single person, you touch on joint ventures. There's people out there doing deals without having their own money. Now, that's not a strategy I've gone down, and I still haven't quite got my head around that. I'm happy to admit that. But there's people out there going into deals with no money and making money out of it, and that's we look at what we're doing today, Michael, talking about student success stories. Go back and look at the other success stories. Get onto the members only website. There's some great things on there as well, where people have come from overseas and arrived with nothing, and now they're doing multi-million-dollar subdivisions up in Sydney. And you got As and M, in the fast flip community, who had their own battles to go through, and they've done 20 or 30 flips or something. The ultimate coaches that are out there, the platinum coaches that are out there that are just sharing their deals. A fellow that was platinum that was down in the Geelong area, he was doing a flip down there, and I reached out to him and he said, come around and have a look. This was when the father-in-law was in hospital in Geelong, and he was in the middle of doing a flip, and he said, come around and have a look. I'm happy to share what we're doing with you. Just reach out to people and ask the question, because you'll find most people say happy to help you, or happy to show you, or happy to talk to you about it. So it doesn't have to be a coach. It can be anyone out there. If someone's posted something and they've had some success, talk to them about it.
Awesome, man. Yeah. The community it's hard to actually describe it, isn't it? It's one of those experiential things. It's like when you're involved and you see what happens, it is there, but you do need to reach out and to lean into it.
And again, just the fear of, when I organised one of the dinners, I had a lady message me and she said, I'm very nervous about coming to this. I don't know anyone. I don't like introducing myself to people. Can I sit next to you on the night? And I said, absolutely. And so I had a good talk to her, and I sort of worked out who she was, as she was walking through the door, and I walked up and, gave her an embrace and sat her down, and I introduced her to people. And by the end of the night, she was just so relieved that she was able to come along. So again, if you've got that fear of meeting people or reach out to someone else and, talk to them privately. I don't care if anyone rings me or messages me and says, hey, do you want to catch up and have a chat? I'm happy to do that. I've got no fear of doing that, and I'm happy to help others and help them. If that helps them one bit, I'm happy.
Awesome, man. Awesome. Now, we had a comment here, and that was, I'm having a hard time getting hold of tradies I need at the moment. I get discouraged after trying to contact them several times and never hearing back for them. John, have you got any advice for them?
Yeah, tradies are hard. They really are at the moment. I'm lucky. The town that I'm in, there's quite a few of my partner's relatives down there who either are tradies or know, are neighbours with tradies. So I've been able to lean on a few. But, when we were looking at the re-stumping, there was no one in the town did re-stumping. So, the nearest companies that did it was sort of, an hour away. So some were just flat out not going to do it. A couple came down and quoted, and they said, yeah, but it's like a 6-month wait to get things done. So, and that was back in sort of 2020, early 2021. So it's just the market's gone nuts. People have been at home, they're doing renovations as well because they haven't been able to, the discretionary spends they had to go overseas or whatever they haven't been able to do. So they're putting up deckings or renovating or extending. So tradies at the moment are, they can ask what they want, and if you want to pay it, you'll get it, but there's also a waiting list as well. So you just got to keep trying and just keep chipping away. But Dymphna talks about building your A team. Well, if you're set up in a certain area and you've got a certain strategy, if you get onto a good one, hang on to them, because they're always there. You're always going to need them. But yeah, just try and build that A team. But yeah, it's tough.
Yeah, awesome, man. Look, good. Was there anything else that you wanted to share? I think we've covered everything that we wanted to. I don't know if there's anything else that you're...
No, look, again, I'm fairly raw and open when I talk. I'm happy for anyone if they want to reach out to, just message me on through the group. I'm happy to talk to people, whether it's via message or on phone, or if you're in Melbourne, happy to catch up. I'm able to get out and about. I don't have a problem driving across Melbourne to meet people. I'm going to organise another catch up soon, which is great. Whether you come to that or there's other catch ups. There's catch ups in Ringwood and Doncaster and down on the peninsula. I sort of tend to do mine in the city or the northwest. But if you haven't been to one, go to one. Don't care whether it's one that I organise or someone else. But you'll meet people out of there, and you'll walk away from it going, "Geez, I should have done this earlier." So, that would be my advice. Don't let anything hold you back, because I've been there and I've done that. The best thing you can do is just get on the front foot and engage with the community.
Nice one, John. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you for sharing. Thank you for really kind of like being open and honest, and what a change. And we're kind of like, we'll certainly be kind of staying in contact and seeing what you do, how those deals do come to fruition for you as well. So glad to have you as a part of the community.
No, welcome, Michael, and look, a pleasure. And look, I hope that I can post some really good success stories up there in the near future. If I get this finance organised for the strategy I want to look at, I'll be talking about it. Don't you worry about that. So, and I'm a great one for sharing pictures and videos and all that sort of stuff. So, if my little bit of success can help or inspire others, it's been worthwhile.
Fantastic. John, thank you so much. Do well. I know you will. And obviously, the one thing I do want to mention here as well is that if you haven't already, please reach out to the local community groups. As John mentioned as well, I mean, obviously he's Melbourne-based, and there are a number of groups in Melbourne. And the best way to do that is to reach out into there's a specific Facebook group for Melbourne students, as is there one for Sydney, Perth and Adelaide, and obviously the Gold Coast, Brisbane and so forth as well. So reach out, get yourself involved with those local groups and connect up. Some of them are done via Zoom, others are done obviously via catching up at restaurants and other things like that. This is something that students, just like John has mentioned, arrange for themselves. So
just on that, Michael, I see a lot of people say, "Oh, I'm in such and such a town. Are there any groups in that town?" If there's not, create one. So, okay, well, there's not one. Well, I'm booking this restaurant, or I'm going to be at this cafe, or I saw one the other day, it was going to be at a food court or a shopping centre. I'll be at a food court wearing, wearing a red top or whatever. Come along and meet up. So, you know what? Put it out there. Obviously you've got to be confident in doing that. But if there's not a group, just say, well, who wants to catch up? I'm going to be here at this date and this time. And if 2 people turn up or 10 people turn up, great. And then it goes from there.
That's actually a really good point, John. I think we should create these ILRE Real Estate caps. So when you go out, you go, where am I looking for? There they are, right there.
Yeah, you know what, Michael, I might have to quickly trademark that one, but no, look, great idea. But again, it's just, as I said, if there's not a group there, create one. Because
absolutely,
because there will be people sitting. I love that, Tabitha. Good on. There'll be people sitting there going, "Oh, I don't know what to do," or "I don't want to reach out." And all of a sudden, if there's a group there, they'll go, "Oh, you know what? I'll come along to that." And as I said, even if it's a one-on-one, you know what? You've met one person you didn't know.
Yeah, totally. Awesome. John, thank you so much. Really appreciate it. And everyone for joining in. Thank you so much for spending the time today. Obviously, this is live streamed into the Facebook group. You can review it at any time from this point forward, and they also go up onto the members only website. So, and then look, and the other thing is, if you know of anybody and you think, you know what, those people, why don't you interview those people? Let me know. Always looking for it. We want to kind of keep these going on a weekly basis, and keep this community interactive, keep it inspired, keep giving you insight into what's been done, and learn a little bit from heartfelt stories like John's just shared today. So awesome.
Thanks, Michael, and thanks for everyone jumping on. But as I said, if you want to reach out, just hit me up on Messenger, and I'm happy to have a chat. Not a problem.
Fantastic. All right, excellent. Thank you, everybody. Thanks, everyone from Facebook as well. We will leave it there. Have a fantastic Friday afternoon, and obviously leading into the weekend. And also be aware that Dymphna's recording from Wednesday is now available on the members only website. You can review it there if you wish to, no problems. And we do have a boot camp coming up in March, as well as the Momentum Day coming up at the end of February. So a lot of things coming up and getting involved. Staying connected. All right, we'll leave it there, hey?
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, John. All righty.
Thank you.
See you now. Thanks, everyone. Bye.